mind is when a consumer scans the QR code, what are they going to see? Because if they go to a version of your website that is a large version, it's hard to get around, that might not be enjoyable on their phone. So if you have a mobile version of your website, that's going to be a pleasing experience for someone on their phone when they scan that. If they scan it and it goes to a YouTube video, fine, it's just going to pull up the YouTube video and start playing. But now think about this. What if you could sit in front of a home seller tonight, and maybe it's a competitive listing and 2 or 3 other agents are coming in. You say, you know, one of the things that I'm doing that I find is really interesting is this whole new QR code. Have you guys played around with those yet? Oh, we've heard about them. Well, let me show you how they work. And you take one of your business cards out, or you take one of your flyers out that you've created, and you take your phone and you scan it, and it starts playing a video tour of a property you have listed. Are you kidding me? That seller is going to be pretty amazed. They're going to say, wow, how does all that work? You know what? I don't really even need to know how it works. All I need to know is that it's driving consumers to my listings, and more exposure is better, and sellers are going to be all over that. So I would say I would definitely recommend you play around with QR codes. Make sure you don't put a QR code on anything printed until you've tried it yourself. It would be a bad thing to have someone scan something and then have it go nowhere, right? So make sure the thing is actually working. So I have that saved. I showed you that I saved that. And let's just say that I was creating a flyer in Microsoft Word. I could actually insert a picture in Microsoft Word. So let me go down here, insert picture from file. And then I go down here and I called it YouTube video link. And I could make that as big as I want. And now on my flyer, I actually have this QR code. Now, I probably have all the other information about the property too. Another recommendation I want to give you is always make sure that you tell people what it is. So scan this QR code for a video tour of this home. Right? And now I'm going to take time to make sure I got lots of nice pictures and the formatting's all correct and I've got everything I want, right? But that way, before someone scans it, they know what their phone is going to do. Or scan this QR code to get more information about my services if it's on the back of your card. Or scan this QR code to get multiple photos of this property, and then you put that sticker on a for sale sign out in front of the house. So many different ways to use that. So those are called QR codes. They're kind of the hot thing in marketing, and obviously a lot of realtors are all over that as well. So I wanted you to have a better understanding of how to use QR codes. And the biggest thing is not, so many times when we see new technology, we say, yeah, but Max, are people really going to do that? I mean, come on, are they really going to do that? Do I really care if someone scans it if it helps me get a listing? I guess not. What I'm doing is I'm showing home sellers that I'm always looking for ways to get their property above the rest of the competition to get more exposure for their property. So don't get hung up on, well, wait a minute, how many people clicked on it? I only had 2 people scan it. Yeah, but how much did it cost you? Oh, that's right, it was nothing. So it cost you a few minutes of your time, and now you've got a great benefit. So make sure you look at the bright side of leveraging tools versus just, well, how many leads do I get off of it? No, think about how I can talk to other people and how all of a sudden it puts myself in a better light because I'm using some of the latest and greatest tools out there in the form of QR codes. Now, we know that consumers are using mobile for QR codes, but guess what? They're also using mobile to search for real estate. And because I don't have my phone in front of you here, I want to give you a little concept of how they're doing this. So we launched an application on Realtor.com for our website to be accessed from consumers, and it's your website, the National Association of Realtors. So consumers can now download this on an iPhone, on an Android, and now the Windows Phone 7, it's out there as well. So there's 3 different platforms that can download this, and they all pretty much work the same way. So consumers download the app, which, by the way, we're the #1 rated real estate application for mobile, period. And we have over 1.5 million downloads already of this application. So sometimes if you think, yeah, but that doesn't really affect me because I don't have an iPhone or I don't have an Android. Well, other people do, right? They're kind of a big deal. So a lot of people are using these as they're driving through neighborhoods. So they drive through neighborhoods, and because these phones have GPS in them, all they simply do is they drive up to a home that has a for sale sign, and they hit this button that says nearby homes for sale, and it pulls up the properties, and the one that they're sitting in front of is going to be at the top of their phone. All they do is touch on that, and now I can look at all the detailed photos inside the property, the exterior photos, interior photos, lots of great information. I can also scroll down and I can say, you know what, I want to put a note in here. I really like this property. Or let's say that you have a consumer buyer that you've shown 11 houses to in one day. Have you ever noticed towards the end of the day, they can't even remember what they looked at first? So if you're in that situation, what consumers are starting to do is make notes about properties as they go through them, and they give it a rating. So I might give it a 4-star rating and type in, hey, this has a great backyard, it's got lots of privacy. Then at the end of the day, I can go back and look at all these listings and say, oh, wow, yeah, I remember, honey, this one did have a great backyard and lots of privacy. So it's another feature that's built into both the Android, the iPhone, and the Windows Phone 7 version. On the Android, you can even talk into the phone. You can just say, hey, great backyard with lots of privacy, and it will convert it to text and put it into the notes. So pretty cool stuff. Now let's continue on. Let's say they scroll down and they want to look at it on a map. They can actually look at that property on a map, and they can take their finger and create a new neighborhood, and only properties within that place that they drew on the map shows up. That's called, it's like create your own neighborhood right on the phone, and that's a really popular feature available on all those versions too. And again, this is all free stuff, so that's why consumers are all over it. And so we need to understand where consumers are getting their information so that we can connect with them. That's what this whole webinar is about, connecting with mobile and tech-savvy consumers, right? So they're looking at properties, they click on one of those, and right away they can post it to Twitter or post it to Facebook. Now, why would they do this? Well, buying a property is a pretty big decision. And so what a lot of consumers do is start to share that information with their friends. So they might post it to Facebook and say, hey, here's the house that we're looking at over on the Upper East Side. Anybody have any feedback between this one and this one? Which one, we should buy? People like to get other people involved in their decision making, and this gives them the ability to do that. Now, here's the most critical thing. If you continue to scroll down, you see the agent here. This is Susan McFarland. Now, on these phones, if I touch this right here that says call 239, guess what? It pops up and says, would you like to call this number? If I say yes, I don't even have to dial the number. So that's how fast consumers are connecting with agents on these devices. And it is so, so important that you have the right phone number on here. Well, first of all, the most important thing is that you're on here. Because guess what? Unfortunately, you're not on here automatically. This little piece does cost a little bit of money. That means if you're a showcase listing customer out on Realtor.com, you're automatically going to be on all these mobile devices, and people can call you right from that mobile device. So if you're not a showcase customer, I'll talk about that in a minute, you need to do that. It becomes too important to connect with these consumers. Now, beyond that, even if you're a showcase customer, if you have your office phone number on this website as the #1 number that people would contact, I think that's a bad idea, because these people want to talk to someone right now. So if they hit the yes button, your phone's going to ring. The other really important thing is, are you using a phone that you're going to answer? I've actually seen agents, I've been with a lot of agents across the country, they'll get a call and we're talking and they'll look at it and they'll say, that's all right, I'll let it go to voicemail. If that's a buyer lead, there's a 70% probability they're not leaving a message. So if you're really wanting to connect with buyers that are interested now, unfortunately that means we need to say hello when the phone rings. Now I know you've got times where you're with a seller or a buyer. Well, there's other technologies that you should think about. And let me share one of those technologies with you. Again, out to Google. Remember we talked about the creating a QR code. That's how we started this conversation. If you go to Google, there's something called Google Voice that you should be aware of. And if you just go to Google and you type in Google Voice, you will see a number of links, and the top link is for Google Voice. You go there, and it gives you the opportunity to create a number on Google. It's called a Google Voice number. You put in your area code or your zip code, and it tells you what numbers are available. This is another free service, costs you nothing. What this does is now you have a number that you can put in your marketing, and then you tell that where you want that number to ring, and you can change it. Matter of fact, It's a pretty wild technology. I could actually have it ring 4 phones at the same time if I wanted to, and whichever one picked up first, that's going to grab the call. Or think about this. You're on your office line. You're talking to a particular, let's say a home seller,